Let's talk about why it's a good idea to stay out of debt. Hi, I'm Amber Coleman with Guild Mortgage, and I have been a loan originator for the past 20 years. I've pulled thousands and thousands of applications in my time, and right now I'm seeing debt as being the biggest reason that's holding people back from meeting their dream of home ownership, or that's really causing a lot of stress on their lives. I'm seeing more and more people getting divorced, and let's just talk about some things that debt causes so then we can kind of see ways that we can do things to not get into debt. Let's say you're just barely starting out and you want to go buy a car and you're not making a whole lot of money, but the car that you want has a payment that's probably a little bit over what you could afford, but you kind of rationalize with, well, maybe I can do without this and I can do without that to be able to get into that car. So you get a little bit higher on the car payment, right? And then month by month, as that car is coming around, that car payment's coming around to be paid, you're saying to yourself, crap, I can't afford this. I can't afford to do the things that I normally do. I can't, it's really causing stress on you because it's a little bit too high compared to where it was, right? And then sometimes what happens after that is because you can't afford out of your bank account to pay for other things because the car payment's so high, then you go get a credit card and you have that credit card so that you can afford those things that you once did. And then all of a sudden that card becomes maxed out. So then you get another card and then you just keep building on this great kind of snowball, right? Because you have all that, it's causing a lot of stress on people. And then when that stress comes out, if if you have a partner in the relationship, then the finger pointing starts, and then that just makes you feel bad. So it is causing a lot of stress on a lot of different individuals and couples and all kinds of different things right now. It does increase poor spending habits. So the more debt you have, because you almost build the self-awareness that I can get anything I want, I can do anything I want. And sometimes we forget the fact that there's a payment that comes with that at the very end. And so because that habit is formed, and you keep getting another credit card and another credit card and another credit card, you're building bad habits that are actually hard to break. Another thing is debt costs money. So if you think about it, let's say you're going to buy a new couch, you just end up going and buying a whole new living room set, right? And that living room set is $2,000. And then the furniture company says to you, well, you can put this on credit and you can pay it over time. But what they don't usually tell you is you're putting it on credit that's high interest rates. So that $2,000 furniture, if you just make the minimum payment, you're paying double the furniture to get the furniture by the time it's done, sometimes triple, depending on the interest rate that you received on that furniture. It definitely borrows from your future income because let's say if you saw that furniture, you really just loved it, right? If you just saved up $150 a month until you reach that $2,000 goal, you would then only pay $2,000 for that furniture versus at best case scenario, $4,000 because you paid the minimum payment over time to be able to pay it off. And that minimum payment included a huge interest rate to the bank that loaned the money to give you that furniture. So you're borrowing money from yourself because you're paying it out of your pocket to make a bank rich. Debt keeps you from your financial goals. When I'm running applications to be able to see what people can qualify for, to be able to put you into a house, to be able to, live your best life. When you rent, number one, your rent's going to go up year to year because that's just what's happening, right? And you don't own your own life when you rent. You're always going to have to abide by some landlord. You're never going to get any equity for yourself. And as you pay that rent, it's paying the landlord's mortgage so that they can retire wealthy. You're the one paying for that. So let's make it to where you can pay your own future by owning a house. Even if you gained no equity in that house, month to month, as you make the payment on that house, you'll watch the balance go down and down and down. Eventually, that house is paid off, especially if you pay a little bit more to it. So when you get high in debt, like say you make your car payments higher than they should be, your credit card payments go out of control, your debt ratio is going to be hindered. So you're either not going to qualify for a house or you're not going to be able to get into the house that you want to get into to meet your family's needs. You'll have to buy something smaller because your debt's so high. That's one of the largest reasons right now why I'm seeing people not be able to meet their dreams of home ownership, because they've gotten their debt out of control, and a lot of it has snowballed, maybe because of one choice or two choices. There's a lot of other reasons why you shouldn't go into debt, but the last one I'm going to talk about is debt hurts your credit score. So how credit scores work, they're going to look at your installment debt, and that's like car loans, student loans, things that your payment shouldn't change on them, right? Month to month, where you owe a certain amount and your payment is this much and it's paid off in such and such years, and that doesn't change, right? But a lot of your credit score is based off revolving debt, and revolving debt is credit cards. Let's say a bank gives you $1,000 credit limit on a credit card, and you charge up that whole $1,000. You're like, yay, let me go on a shopping spree and spend $1,000. So you charge that whole $1,000 up to where there's no money left on that card. How the credit bureaus weigh you, is they want to see how responsible you are with credit. So if you have $1,000 credit card and you max it out so you have nothing left, then they're not looking at you as being very responsible, because you don't have anything left to spend on that credit card in a month, right? They also do look at to make sure that you're paying your bills on time. So you always want to make sure to pay those bills on time. But even though you're paying your bills on time, if you're maxing everything out, your credit scores are going lower and lower and lower, and you're wondering, why do my credit scores keep falling? It's because you don't have anything left on that credit card. So let's use another example. So that same $1,000 credit card, and let's say you charged it up to $500. So you have $500 left on the credit card. That gives you 50% ratio on that one credit card that then builds your scores up. So because you have money left on that credit card to spend, now your scores are going to go higher, because the bureaus are going to weigh you as being more responsible and less of a risk factor of missing your payments because you have no credit left to spend. So a lot of times what I'm seeing is the reasons why scores are becoming lower and lower and lower as I'm seeing debt going higher and higher and higher is because people are maxing out their credit cards. And I get it right now, like it's a time of high inflation, things cost more than they used to, and times are really changing. So right now, best to stay away from the debt if you can, so you don't get yourself into these high stress situations. But if you've already gotten yourself into debt, let's go over a couple ways that you can help yourself to get out of debt. Okay, so first way is start a budget. I know that's like a long lost word that a lot of people haven't been, I mean, we haven't done it in a long time, right? It was like something that my mom used to do. But honestly, I've learned from this in my past, and I'm not here to judge you or to preach to you. I've gotten myself into debt before. So a lot of this is stuff that I've had to do myself, and I swore never to get myself into that situation because the stress is big, it's huge, and it's not fun to be in. So start a budget. Write down what you make, what you bring home. Write down what your fixed expenses are, right? The things that you have to pay month to month to month. Your fixed expenses, and then see what's left. And one thing that I've lived by since I got myself out of credit card debt, and here's how I did it, is I live by what I call the 10% rule. The 10% rule for me is pay myself 10% first. So before I pay anything out of my pocket, I take 10% and I put it in my savings account. And I do that every time I get paid, 10%, and I put it in my savings account. And because it's paying me first. Why would I work and just pay everybody else, right? I got to pay me something, right? And then, but you can do this later. I have other videos on this. Then I give 10% because it helps the greed to go away, and it helps your mindset a little bit more. And then 10%, once we get there with your debt, is I only charge up to 10% on my credit cards, because then that's going to make my credit scores as high as I can make them. So, but one thing first, if you're taking 10% of what you get paid and you're paying yourself first, you're putting it in a savings account, then you're working on a plan for your life, right? So build up some of that 10% into your savings account, and then we're going to figure out how to spend it to be able to get yourself out of this high stress, high debt situation that you're in. So one thing that I've done is I went and I wrote down every credit card that I had, right? I started with credit cards because those are usually smaller than installment bills. So I wrote down every credit card that I have. You start with the smallest one first. Because if you write down all the credit cards you have and you start adding it, you're going to look at it and be like, this is too hard. I can't do this. There's no way I can come up with that much money if you've gotten yourself into debt where it's really stressing you out. But if you look at it, is you got to take small bites, right? You got to take small bites out of it. So the first credit card you have, the lowest one, you save 10% out of your paycheck, right? And pay the minimum payments. You got to stop spending on credit cards to do this though, because if you're getting yourself back into the same mess, you're never going to get yourself out. So save money, pay minimum on your credit cards. When you have enough saved to pay off that smallest card, you pay it off, right? And then you keep doing the same thing. You should be able to save faster the more credit cards that you pay off, because that eliminates that minimum payment that you have. So then when you have enough saved out of the 10% savings that you've been doing to pay off the second card, you pay it off, and you just keep doing that until you chip away at the credit cards. One thing that I've had to do too, because when it gets to an excess and your money is fixed, you're not making more money than what you're used to making, it still straps you, right? So when I've gotten myself into high situations, at one point I just remember it just got so stressful I couldn't really do much. It was like crippling. That's how stressful. And honestly, I've seen people have serious mental health problems because of how bad stress, and I get it. Like I totally get it. But one thing that I did to help myself is I took away from my time of entertainment and I went and got a second job. And at that second job, I took everything that I made and I paid it to the credit cards, and I paid to credit cards to be able to get that debt down just by bringing in additional income. Number one, I was working all the time, so I didn't have time to entertain. So that took away the entertainment costs that I have, and it brought in that excess income to be able to pay those things down. So just giving you a few ideas how to get yourself out of debt if you've gotten yourself into debt. If you haven't gotten yourself into debt, just use debt very gently. I always suggest get a credit card, spend on a credit card, but don't spend more than you can pay off in a month, right? And before that credit card is due, pay it off, or at least pay it down to 10% or less. That 10% rule, remember? 10% or less, that's going to do a couple things for you. It's going to keep your credit scores to a high level because you're going to look very responsible on paper when your ratios on your credit are 10% or less than what you can spend. And it's going to keep the stress levels down for you, so that you don't have to worry about all those things building up for you that's causing all kinds of pressure and stress in your life. If you've gotten yourself into some things and you want to be able to look at a house, you want to be able to see where you're at, but you're nervous because of, if for any reason, I'm not here to judge you. Like I've said, I've had my own problems with credit. That's how I know how to get out of it. That's how I know how bad debt can get, like as far as the stress levels and the mental health and stuff like that. But give me a call. I can always work through a game plan with you. I can help you know, okay, here's what you need to do. Here's where you need to start. If it's too overwhelming and you need somebody to call, I'm not a credit counselor. I don't do like debt consolidations. I don't even have anybody that I can refer you to, but I can help you get set up for a house. I can help you get set up to say, here's where your debt has to be in order to get this particular house that you want. And let's talk about a game plan together, right? So it's just an extra person to talk to is what I can offer you. But if you're wanting that dream house and you don't know where to start, you don't know how to get it, give me a call. Let's get you started. I'm here as your advocate to help you realize the dream of home ownership. If you like this video and it was informative, please subscribe to my page, and I hope you have a great day.